Hello and welcome to today's lovely stream featuring the cat Meow, moi, and Tickingtimebob, who is somewhere around me. Somewhere? Whatever. And welcome to today's stream where we will be looking at our part 2 of Council of the Wyrm, a 5th edition conversion of a old, I think D&D 2nd edition, was it? Or Advanced? An old supplement for D&D, in which players can play as dragon. And this is our 5e revision that we're looking over, and making our own adjustments to as we discuss how we would and how we are going to use this in our future project, in which we will have a D&D game where our players will be dragons, playing through the different ages of our world, discovering its secrets, its legends, and ultimately becoming legends themselves. And yes, other than that, this is kind of our time to discuss and brainstorm and come up with some new ideas and figure out exactly how we want to go through with this really cool project idea we have. And this is our 2nd episode, of course. If you haven't seen the 1st episode, there is a link somewhere or rather, or if you're watching it on the Twitch or the YouTube, it's probably somewhere in there. Just give it a search. But yes, this is our kind of part 2 of our discussion over the rules of this new supplement. Unofficial supplement, I will add. But we will give thanks to the people who have written this, who or converted this. Marsupial Mancer, who is the designer of this, who I think is the person who's put this out. I'm not sure. Point is, to the people who have made this, thank you very much. And yeah, from here we are going to continue off where we left off, starting off with dragon aspects, and then going all the way through to the end of the PDF. I think with that, is there anything you would like to add, Bob? You're muted for me.
I was muted.
Oh,
yeah, hold on. I need to slightly adjust my sound. I'm seeing myself light up when you talk, which is not an ideal situation. Can you say something real quick?
Oh. Hello, it is I, Dragons.
I think we're good now.
Okay, cool.
I probably don't have my my filter that I have on a different stream. So it's picking up the background music. Okay, give me a sec here. I'm just gonna hide our cameras and bring us to the front here. Oh. Bring the cameras to the front. All right, we're good now. Okay, so let's start with Dragon Ascension then.
Yeah.
All right. So Dragon Longevity is the stuff of legends. The myths of humans and vassals tell of the dragons older than some mountains or forests, and unlike the gradual degeneration of the mortal body with the passage of time, dragons only grow stronger with age. All right, so anything you want to say about the summary here for Path of Ascension, Mark?
The main thing is it kind of gives you an idea of first of all, the level limit that each age category has. That goes from wormling to young to adult to ancient, I should say. Wormling being level 5, and they also have a minimum age in years, which I thought was. For example, to become a young dragon from wormling, you have to be at least 30 years of age. And of course, have to be level 6 to 10. Then the same for adult dragon, yada, yada, yada.
How do we feel about those years? Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just going to talk about the other bit, which is about the specific metamorphosis which happens when you reach a certain level 8.
Yeah, please do. Carry on.
For example, to ascend to each level. There is a minimum level you have to have, which is just one above. So, for example, for Ascension, a wormling, a young dragon must be at least 6 years ascend to wait. How that works?
Yeah, I think so. Metamorphosis. So what is?
Yeah. Metamorphosis is a different variant, basically. So there's the variant we were just talking to was the age pendant level limit. And the metamorphosis is just once you reach a certain level, you can move on to the next stage. And then the final one is the treasure hoarding.
They're identical, actually, too.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, so Wormling level limit is 5. To get to young, it's 6. So it's just kind of doing the reverse. So, yeah, adult... young is 10 for level limit, and then they can convert to adult with a minimum level of 11. So it's just showing the opposite of it. Took me.
Yeah, I think it's just an alternative version where it's not about age.
No, no, I think it's just saying. I think it's identical. So it's saying if you start as a wormling, you play to level 1 to 5, you have to hit that and minimum age of 30, at which you can ascend to a young dragon, which requires a minimum level to ascend, which is 6. So you're coming from 5 to 6, or you're going from 10 to 11.
Here we go. Right. I found the thing. Using this variant, dragons have no level limit based on age.
Okay, I get you. It's a variant. Okay, I'm following now.
So essentially, the idea is you can still be a wormling and be like level 7.
I like age better. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. What do you feel about the ages? Like 30, 200, 700. Are those things we want to modify? Are any of them too short of something?
No, I think they're pretty fine. I think they make sense for the most part. And also, like, there's a greater jump each time, which I think makes a lot of sense.
You're not wrong.
So I think that works fine. 30 years for young.
Should we talk about treasure hoards?
Yes. Now, this is a cool mechanic I like.
Okay. You want to read this one?
Yeah, we can read through this one.
We'll go paragraph by paragraph. Why don't you read the first, I'll get the second. We'll go from there.
Alright, easy enough. Dragons hoard treasure because it pleases them to look at, collect it, and to feel it trickle between their claws and scales as they rest atop its glimmering beauty. More than that, though, a hoard is an integral part of its supernatural physiology, and a dragon that fails to accrue sufficient treasure for its hoard, or has its treasure stolen by thieves, finds itself stunted and weakened.
A dragon must have at least as many gold pieces of value in its hoard as it requires for experience points to reach its current level. This value is known as the bonded hoard, or its bonded hoard. A hoard can only be counted if it's kept within the dragon's current lair. A dragon cannot divide its bonded hoard between multiple lairs. Any additional treasure belongs to the dragon's accumulated hoard and can be applied to the bonded hoard in the future. Alright.
A dragon can convert treasure from accumulated to bonded when it completes a long rest in its lair, or upon gaining a level. For that reason, most dragons return to their lair after having gained a level or a sum of treasure, resting and bonding to their hoard once more. The bonded hoard can never be larger than the minimum value required for the dragon to be its level. But there is no limit to the value of the dragon's total hoard. Now, this is something I like.
Me too. I like it gives the dragons a reason to collect treasure. Like something they never explain in anything, really. Like,
absolutely. Other than they're greedy or whatever.
Yeah.
It actually gives them like an actual physiological reason to desire it.
Well, because like when humans are greedy, it's because they can get everything they want with that money, and they might, there might be something there might be something beyond that, like psychological with it, but like it doesn't. To me, this gives a much better, more thorough sort of answer.
Absolutely.
My immediate thought, and these aren't things we have to solve now, but my immediate thought is I want our world to be both, where the dragons are the most. I don't think it's going to be a high fantasy setting, and the reason why I think that is because the dragons should be at the top of it. The dragons and the foes that are at their level, it shouldn't be like there's dragons coming out everywhere, and they're one small thing, and there's humans everywhere that can do everything the dragons can. I think so. Immediate thought for things like long rest. That'd be a super interesting thing to change a long rest to more like those grittier games where it's like 1 week for a long rest.
Yeah.
Right?
Like a day's sleep is a short rest and a long rest.
Yeah.
Resting.
There's a cool mechanic I'll flip you where there's someone created like a third one. So there's like short rest, long rest, and then there was like getting patched up. And getting patched up.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought would be fun is like, again, we don't need to go deep dive into that because we're not playing those gritty dwarfs and orcs and stuff. We're playing dragons, but I like the idea of like you can do like the short rest. You actually get the short rest plus mending. You can choose to take half the value of your dice for health return, but if you don't, if you're trying to heal on a short rest without proper like mending, like you have to roll. So you might get a bunch of ones, and that's what you get. Let's talk about Hoarde.
One idea that I thought about that I thought was kind of interesting, because in like older versions of D&D, essentially coins were like your experience, and that gold was like your experience. So we could do something similar there, where instead of having like track experience through encounters, have it be tracked through treasure and things they acquire, and by using that they grow more powerful.
That could be cool. We'd have to like, how do I put this? My only problem with it's just like base D&D, where if you give them a mechanical way to collect experience, it's like that Burning Anthill card on what was that Munchkin? I'll see if I can pull it up real quick. It's like one of my favorite cards, Burning Anthill. Of course, it's called Munchkin, right? That's the whole point.
Exactly, that's the whole point of the game.
Yeah, there we go. Here we go. So the card is Burn an Anthill, go up a level, and then or boil an anthill. I don't see the back of the card, but there is like a back of the card, and if I remember correctly, it says, "Yeah, they're only worth a quarter of an experience, but there's 1 million of them." Right? You give players a way to get XP in an like most things are determined through story, but then if they have a concrete mechanical value, they'll find a way to exploit said mechanical value to their advantage. Now there is a level limit at least, and we can still track that. It just means that every time we give them treasure, we need to have a really strong sense of like what they're gonna get, like because otherwise they could jump right up to like they could jump right up to level 5 off that treasure. Maybe there's like a year limit too, so it's like it could be fun to break it down level by level and talk about the treasure, the Hoarde level almost being like a great idea. Let's talk about it. So I'll write that down in our notes. Hoarde. equals XP? Question mark. Does that mean you can lose your level though if someone steals your hoard?
I don't think losing a level, but there is specifically rules in this. The next part about hoard depth.
Yeah.
Which I think would be the mechanic we would use in that case.
Suffer exhaustion. Oh gosh. You know,
which would be very rough if we planned to go for the week to do a long rest thing. Yeah.
I find exhaustion to be one of the coolest concepts in D&D, and yet its execution is almost too much. Like level 1 makes complete sense, and level 2 is like, it's like level 1, it's like you broke your finger. Level 2, we cut off your left arm. It's like, whoa, that's a big difference. I just broke my finger in the last one, right? Like, it's like none of your skills work, basically. That's basically what level 2 is, right? And then it just gets worse.
Disadvantage on everything.
So maybe we come up with our own exhaustion levels, like a little, you know, a little more accurate, or a little less. Like, there's nothing more frustrating than getting more than one level of exhaustion in D&D. And you're like, now I just can't succeed at anything.
Like, well, I guess I'm just useless now.
Yeah. Let's see. Being a little bit loud because
again, we want to make things harder, but not completely kneecap a player.
Agreed. All right, let's talk about Dragon Sleep, because this is. Oh wait, hold on. Optional treasure hoards. Did you read this?
Oh.
Oh, never mind. I think I care about.
All right.
Do you have anything to say about that?
Not particularly.
No. Dragon Sleep.
Dragon Sleep is essentially the level up system. So you use to advance to the next stage.
Of bonded hoard of value equal to. I like the idea they put here. I think it's too much of a carrot, and I think it needs to be a stick too. But let's read it all the way through first. But I envision sleep being something important for, like the classic dragon doesn't just sort of like level up with it. It's sort of like it might be how they recover from a really nasty battle, and it might be something more important to adults. And like that, the bigger you are, the more important I think it should be, because it's like it's the ancient dragons that seem to always slumber. You know what I mean? The worm. How many times do you hear about a slumbering wormling? Like, you know.
Yeah.
There's something romantic about putting the ages mattering more than just the combat or level mechanic.
Definitely, yes. Yeah. Well, because it's usually like in media, like a dragon sleeping is generally seen as a weakness for it, or it's in a weakened state during it.
Exactly, and so like maybe that is how they. Maybe that's why maybe that's how long rests are like. Maybe it's by age.Maybe it's like vampire. It's like, how old are you? That's how long your long rest is. So maybe
absolutely. So more power means you have to sleep for more often to recover. Absolutely, I like that.
So we'll say long rest equals varied by. What are they called? What are like the wormling the classifications? Or
age brackets?
Age.
Type?
Yeah. I like the idea, like age, but age is also what we call age in years, but maybe we'll call it. Do you want to give age a name? I'm thinking like maturity, but you know what I mean.
Maturity.
But something like better sounding than that. Synonym.
Age synonym. Epoch. generation? That might be a bit too vampire-y.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. No, everything else sounds worse.
Yeah.
Getting on. That's great.
Getting on.
Progressing, evolving. It's not Pokemon. Developing, growing, blossoming, flourishing, mellowing. There almost needs to be like a word that really fits a dragon's aging.
Fascinating. Augment. No. Germinate.
I like the idea of hoarding. if we tie gold to level, but that's no. It's got to be no. I don't know. We can pause that. We can go back.
Yeah. I think we'll keep working on that as we go along.
I'll just write aging, varied by aging. Oh, for long rest. Where did we leave off? Dragon sleep.
Yes.
Do you want to do these paragraph by paragraph too, or?
Dragon sleep we've kind of already gone over.
Yeah, it's true.
The bit afterward is just about the different age categories and the stats they have.
Yeah, I like the cool thing is they even mentioned Dragon Society in this, so it's like they are already establishing a concept of a society. So it seems to be the perfect framework for what we're thinking.
Definitely. In that case, we can read through the different age categories.
Okay. I can start.
All right.
Wyrmling. Newborn dragons are still powerful creatures. Wyrmlings emerge from the shells with impressive physical prowess and knowledge imparted to them through their innate magical natures and the murmurings of their egg caretakers. A wyrmling dragon can be anywhere from the size of a big dog, in the case of crystal dragons, to the full-grown half-orc. Red dragons are known for being the largest dragons out of the egg. I'm just going to switch the document over. There we go. And then, though gold dragons grow larger over time, wyrmlings have no influence in dragon society, and only vassals treat them. We got to figure out what vassals are. Vassals treat them with any measure of reverence. In the eyes of the council society, the duty of the wyrmling is to watch and learn from its elders. A wyrmling may perform small tasks for their clan or council, preparing for advancement through society as the years pass.
Next up is young. Young dragons receive only slightly more respect than wyrmlings, and have begun to learn and perform at a level where they better serve clan and council. When dragons muster to war, most who fight are the young dragon, under the command of adults. These dragons are strong enough to do battle with the dragon's usual enemies, but are never spent frivolously. Frivolously. Save in dramatic clans who know that the weak are expendable. Young dragons who know that the young dragons are sort of adventurer cohorts in council society, frequently interacting with vassals and other dragons in the pursuit of their goal. All dragons of this age are expected to leave the nests and akeries of their birth and found lairs of their own, usually within their clan's territory. Stewards and aides of the council often receive a lair with the council eyrie itself while they conduct their duty. A young dragon receives the following adjustments to their character. Ability score improvements. You increase 2 separate ability scores of your choice by +2. These increase. This increase can raise an ability score above the normal maximum of 20. Size. Your total body length and wingspan double. Your size is large. You can carry up to 10 times your strength, blah, 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 and 20 times your strength in pounds. Before you're heavily encumbered. Speed, your basic walking speed of 40 feet, and you can fly at a speed of 80. This replaces your speed as 1. And then your AC is 14, plus your dexterity modifier, hardened scales, and then improved toughness. Your maximum hit points is increased by your constitution score. For example, a young dragon with a constitution score of 16 increases their hit points by 16.
Eye of Thoth said possible terms: dragon life phase, dragon life cycle, dragons blooming, or my favorite, clan tax bracket.
Huh.
All right, I'll mention adult. I do like life phase sounds decent, but we can, or phase, even phase, right? Or blooming could be fun. All right, adult. The council employs adult dragons to conduct special missions, act as envoys for important diplomatic endeavors, and battle dangerous threats to dragon society, even pitting them against the feared dragon slayers. Vassals settle in the territory of an adult dragon if they are permitted to do so, and consider the dragon their lord, second only to the clan leadership. Adult dragons control large swaths of territory and negotiate treaties with, or subjugate, in the case of evil dragons, local tribes of vassals or monsters. In this way, the dragon's influence grows. An adult dragon receives the following adjustment to their character, in addition to those gained as a young dragon. Ability score increase. So, for this one, you increase 2 separate ability scores of your choice by 2. This increase can raise the ability score above its normal maximum 20. Size, your total body length and wingspan double. Your size is huge. You may carry up to 20 times your strength score in pounds before you're encumbered, and 40 times your strength score in pounds before you are heavily encumbered. Armored scales, your base AC is 15 plus your dexterity modifier. Superior toughness, your hit point maximum is increased by your constitution score. For example, an adult dragon with a constitution of 16 increases their hit point max by 16. This increase stacks with that provided by young age improved toughness feature.
Nice. And then finally, we have the Ancient. Unfathomably powerful compared to most creatures, the ancient Wyrms are the greatest of dragonkind. For those for whom the passing of centuries brings only greater might, ancient dragons, and only ancient dragons, qualify for seats on the Council of Wyrms itself, shaping policies and peace for the generations ahead. When an ancient dragon are dispatched by the council, it is a truly momentous purpose, such as the summoning of clan heads for moots, or vanquishing a truly terrible opponent, such as a giant king and his army. Even ancient dragons have been taught caution when facing a force of human dragon slayers. However, the dragon's arrogance was their downfall once before. An ancient dragon receives the following adjustments to their character in addition to those gained from previous ages. Ability score increase 2 separate ability scores by 2. This can increase them above 20. Size, you are suddenly gargantuan and carry up to 40 times your strength or in pounds before you're encumbered, and 80 times in strength or in pounds before you are heavily encumbered. Improved scales. Your AC is 16 plus your dexterity. Supreme toughness. Your hit point maximum is once again increased by your constitution score. For example, 16 constitution increased by 16. This stacks with the previous improvements from both young and adult.
All right.
And those are each type of dragon.
So the one
Each
thing
category.
one thing I'm noticing, Mark, and I get why they did it because they wanted to make this compatible with playing a not dragon, but I feel like, could you imagine running around with a 16 strength dragon, ancient dragon? Because it's possible with setting from the looks at it. So we might have to do some tweaks when, let's say, standard array needs to be significantly adjusted.
Yeah.
Right. Specifically, I think in the areas of strength and con should be almost like supernatural levels because of what they are. And they might already be covered, but like...
I think my idea is that it would be greater improvement levels when there are improvements.
Yeah.
Because they're meant to be fucking dragons.
I'm not sure dragons should necessarily be at like 25 intelligence, though, per se. Like, maybe we can look at the monster manual stuff.
Maybe if they're like ancient.
Yeah.
Because the idea is that by the regular rules, they can't go above that until they reach greater ages.
Okay.
Technically young to be able to go above 20.
Okay, yeah, we can play with that.
Generally,
we don't need them to necessarily be all strong or all, but yeah, we want them. I mean,
yeah.
They're literally just competing against themselves, and we don't want them like having a hard time with something we pull out of the monster manual, like you know, as a random whatever. Sure. All right, I'll read mortality here. Any thoughts before we go on to mortality? Anything you want to mention? What's your first cut with the dragon ages, dragon sleep, and the ages?
I like the idea of dragon sleep. I think it definitely needs some working on to kind of, again, to make it more fanatical, like we were talking about before. I do think. I think they could use more. I think specifically not the young, but the adult and ancient could use more. Because they don't feel that powerful, to be honest. 16 more hit points is not a lot in the grand scheme of things.
No, and I think, again, I guess the one thing that I will say is this: the way D&D works, you do kind of go 5e specifically. I was just talking to someone, they're like, if you want to play 5e, the best thing you can do with 5e is play rags to gods, because that's what level 18 to level 20 is. Like, the game actually mechanically changes when you hit distinct levels. Like, you hit 8 and you aren't normal people anymore. Like, you're not you know what I mean? You are demigods already at like 8, and then, you know, it's, if you think of it that way, we don't necessarily have to scale up the dragons. We could scale down everything else. Like, everything else could be a scale down. And certain monsters, like, if the monster is not the dragon size, that could be a cool way to do it. It's like, if the monster isn't the dragon size, or is like 2 down from the dragon's age or whatever, no size, you can go side, then maybe they're just a minion. Like, you hit them, they die. Forget damage. You know what I mean? Like, you're fighting 5 orcs. Come on, dude. Like,
you can kill them pretty easily. It's not gonna be difficult.
Yeah. Now you're fighting a super like heroic one, heroes or whatever. Like our antagonists will not go down that easy. But your everyday show. All right. Should we go on to mortality?
I think so.
Okay. Dragons may live for thousands of years if they avoid the dangers of the world around them. Though dragons are mighty, they are not invincible, despite what red dragons may tell you. Marauding frost giants slaughter white dragons wholesale for hides and bones to make their armor. Fire giants raid copper and red dragon hordes for treasure. And should the dragon slayers ever return, they will be an even greater threat. Nevertheless, there are dragons who make it to extreme old age, whereupon their strength gives out at last. Ooh, very. I like this Dragon's Twilight vibe, but I'll read Dragon's Twilight. Dragon's Twilight. The dragon's maximum lifespan depends on its family. The metallic dragons are the longest lived, followed by the gem dragons. Chromatic dragons have the shortest lifespan, however long lived they may be. Interesting. I'll read the rest, and then we can go back up to this chart. So when a dragon reaches this age, it enters Dragon's Twilight, marked by a steady, irreversible decline of strength, wits, and finally body. In the first year of Twilight, the dragon must roll a Constitution saving throw against a DC 10. The DC increases by 1 for each additional year that passes, eventually becoming impossible to succeed without a natural 20. On a failed saving throw, the dragon expires in the course of that year. Dragons rarely, if ever, share this vulnerability with their vassals or even their favored kindred bound. Whether it is the pride or shame that motivates the desire for solitude, dragons seek isolation during the final years of long lives. They feel its inexorable approach and prepare for the end. Some brutal clans tear their eldest apart to spare them the loss of dignity and this decline, and divide up their hordes amongst the victors. Other clans may bestow their treasure upon worthy vassals or distribute it amongst the progeny before they succumb. A few dragons leave the isle entirely, flying off over the ocean and never returning. Adventurers and treasure hunters suspect the existence of a remote dragon's graveyard somewhere beyond the horizon, holding a vast field of valuable dragon bones and glimmering scales. There are, of course, other possibilities. I wonder, for our game, if we're going to allow players to be all these things, do we really want to allow the metallic dragons to live so much longer? Like, so let's say your constitution's 20. That's 20 times 1,000 plus 1,000. Or, sorry, times 100 plus 1,000. So, like, metallic dragons seem to live forever.
3,000 years. Yeah. Actually, no, that'd be 1,000.
Yeah, 3,000, you got it, right?
Yeah, 3,000. Yeah.
So, in gem, like, I guess that's not that much long. I guess if we set, I guess if we set the game at a point where that doesn't matter, like if we only play through a 1,000 or 1,200 years, does that really matter?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That the ancient gold lives longer than the ancient red? Like, because everyone will still be playable, right?
Exactly, yeah. I think if anything, it's more of like a story option.
Yeah.
To explain why ancient dragons leave.
NPCs, it could be super, like all these things went through my mind about this like ancient whatever color dragon we have that's lived for God knows how long. All right. Divine Service.
Do you want me to go over this one?
Yeah.
All right. Divine Service. Truly legendary dragons may amass such a name for themselves that they transcend the bounds of mortality entirely. In such event, one of the great dragon deities may visit such an elder worm in their final years of twilight and offer them continued life in service to the dragon gods. Such an exaltation changes fundamental aspects about the dragon, who then abandon their now unnecessary hoard and travel to the planes beyond. Where do they go in the infinite multiverse? No one can say.
Great Wyrm Ascension. Dragons making use of the sphere gazer or other magic might scry upon their echoes in other worlds or times. Through a process unique to each dragon, an ancient Wyrm may absorb the knowledge and essence of these echoes to grow to vast power and potentially beyond even ancient age. These titanic dragons are known as Great Wyrms. Ooh. And their size and prowess are near divine. Some of the lesser dragon deities, such as Esterinian, I know I should know that if I like D&D, but I don't actually that much, and Chronepsis, are believed to themselves be Great Wyrms. Such is the might of the truly ascended dragon that religions spring upon their wake. For some dragons, this process involves centuries of observation and meditation, and for other, visitations and conference within their echoes. Yet others brook no potential challenge to their might, even amongst their echoes, and hunt down such counterpart dragons to slay them and devour their essence. Great Wyrms grow to such incredible immensity that few places and adventures are suitable for their titanic stature. Most leave them for infinite planes or abandon the isle in search of greater mysteries. That's Dragon Golconda right there.
Yeah.
And Diab Wormy. Yeah.
Yeah, Diab. Next up, they have guardianship. There is a process, a legend even among dragons, of a mean for an elder dragon to achieve apotheosis. Though the mysteries of this power and are the stuff of conjecture and myth, it is said that a dragon may assume guardianship over the land upon which they their lair reside, by consuming or melding with their hoard in some arcane process. The dragon becomes indistinguishable from a natural feature of a singular magnificence. Some wonder whether two tall mountains, ancient 1,000-year-old trees, or flame-belching bogs are the guardian sites of forgotten Wyrm. It is believed that the spirits of the dead dragons manifest to those who know how to reach them, teaching secret laws that cannot be found elsewhere.
That's cool. I like that a lot. Funny enough, I was just recently reading about apotheosis, which is a orthodoxy, like Christian orthodoxy term as well. Eye of Thoth says, imagine a gold dragon spending years beyond count, serving just divinities, and upon the twilight of its life, offering itself over to Bahamut as a paragon of divine truth, only for Bahamut to turn it into a little canary to fit her around his humanoid avatar's head. That's great.
That's funny. Great little bit of Bahamut lore. Is that he often goes around as like an old man in Rune 4, and he has like a bunch of yellow canaries around him. That if he's attacked, all turn into ancient gold dragons.
Right. I can't remember who read Guardianship. Did I read that one?
I read Guardianship.
Okay.
Do you want to read Lichdom?
Yeah. Lichdom. Death need not be the end for Wyrms of the vilest minds and means. There exist terrible arcane formulae and rituals that transform a dragon of advanced age and considerable magical might into a Dracolith. These rotting and grotesque monsters retain their insidious intellect and gain undead powers in accordance with their foul alteration. It is believed that the agents of Falajur, the dragon god of undeath, plant the seeds of this knowledge across the isles in the hope it will be discovered and used by wicked and desperate elder Wyrms in their twilight. Should the council learn of the Dracolic's existence, they summon dragons from across the isles to hunt it down. A Dracolich is such an affront to some priests, failing to understand why Great Eo would allow the dragon's soul to be so tainted, fall prey to the dark knowledge themselves and the despair inherent in its existence. There's a pretty picture of a Dracolich.
Very nice. So it really seems like a lot of these are just like, aside from the Dragon's Twilight, which has mechanics to it, a lot of these are very much like the mythology behind the dragon, behind like what happens to them after death or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. And it's cool things to tap into as GMs, I think.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
A lot of story options. A lot of things you can build off.
Okay. Into feats. I think we need to do a little bit of a special review of Assume Vassal Form because it's such a
absolutely
important part, I think. I think so. As an action, you may transform into a small or medium humanoid and remain in that form as long as it's desired. May return to a dragon form as an action on your turn. While transformed, you do not benefit from the natural armor class and cannot use your natural attacks or breath weapons. I think we should make this. I have two minds. Let me tell you both my minds.
Mm-hmm.
First mind is we shouldn't make this a feat option. We should make it mandatory at adult or not adult. What's the young? Is that the second one?
Young, yeah.
Yeah,
like an ability they unlock
at young age, because thematically we want the idea for them to meet in a clandestine way, and we don't want there to be someone left out. Right? Or like have to, if one person chooses not to do that, we can't run a plot that way.
Exactly. We can't go and plot with them in like a city or something without it.
Alternatively, I love the concept of a dragon who's disgraced because they're incapable of doing vassal form.
Absolutely.
It would almost be fun if those who don't take vassal form show up as dragonkin, like show up as what are they called in 5e? The dragon, the dragon race,
Dragonborn.
Yeah, like you,
like they have
young,
overt draconic features.
Yeah, which makes a lot of the value of assuming vassal form isn't just to take a small or medium form; it's to take on a visage. But if you are a dragon, the best you can do is appear without. If you don't have assumed vassal form, the best you can do. It's sort of like the whole what do you call that? The best, that meme, like best I can do is this, and like best I can do is dragonborn. Best I can do is appear like I have dragon lineage. Like
right? I think it would be interesting. We could either do like they look like the full dragonborn, or they have like an overt draconic feature, like scales or eyes or horns or something.
Yeah. So my only concern with that is that people will choose that because it's sexy.
People can do that anyway.
But I mean, they're not gonna take the assumed vassal form if all it means is that they don't get their pretty ass scales on their body. You know what I mean? Like, it's not much of a punishment, I guess, not to have it. Yeah. It's not much of a flaw until it is.
Yeah, because I feel like until like dragon hunters find you and like, that's a fucking dragon.
Yeah.
I know that shit anyway.
You know what we could do? We could make that for everybody, and then we could add a nature that's about a nature that's how it manifests. You know how the other natures were all flaws, right? Ambitious. You know?
Yeah.
What if I guess natures aren't necessarily we can play around with it, but I like the idea. What if it's a feature of the character? Like, sir, if you're this type of nature, you are so dragon-like that you don't not dragon well. You know what I mean? And then we could make that feat mandatory for everybody. But if you choose that, nature, then that's how that manifests. So it's like, I like the idea of it being rare, I guess, not like something like every second dragon has. Because it'd almost be like, it'd be a lot cooler if you did, you know, it'd be a lot. And we also don't want them choosing like based on level. I think it's like when you hit young, you can either do it or you can't. I think that's another fun part.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea, yeah.
Because otherwise, I'll be like, I'll do it one day. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Like I got to get the one that gives me like plus 20 breath damage or whatever. I don't.
Exactly, yeah.
Do we want to go over any of these other ones? I guess we can just quickly skim through them. So breath sharper or shaper.
Yeah, that one's just you can.
A breath weapon, right?
Yeah, essentially you can just choose to have people succeed on the roll against your allies. I think it's the same as an ability you can get as an invoker for the wizard.
Okay.
Except instead for spells, your breath.
Draconic senses.
You gain blind sight, which is pretty fucking good.
Yeah. Frightful presence. Ooh. Nice.
That's right.
There's not a lot of these. I think we could double these, hey?
Yeah.
Add more feats.
Definitely. Oh, and there's also a vassal form mastery.
I like that because it takes assumed vassal form to have that. So
exactly, you have that. Yeah. I think we could also come up with more, especially around feats around vassal form that give you like special abilities in your vassal form. You can assume your flying speed in vassal form.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should convert what feats we want to accept as well, because I don't think I want to accept like a whole bunch of random feats from random books. Like we'll just we could even convert over from the player's handbook over to this. Did we agree that we're using 2014 or are we using 2024?
I don't think we've made an agreement. I prefer 2014, but I can use 2020 or 2024.
I haven't seen it adopted well yet, and I don't know it. So I'd say if it was like the hot thing right now that everyone wanted to do, I'd say yeah. But even if it was the hot thing, it's not the hot thing for a dragon game. It's a hot thing for like playing the new races and stuff. So I'd say no. There's little reason. We can always cut over later if we absolutely needed to.
Exactly. It's not that much of a difference.
All right. Improved resilience. All this stuff makes sense. Dragon equipment. Claw gauntlets. It just sounds funny. I picture like a gauntlet, like a folded like hand, like a metal gauntlet around each claw. Like little tiny gloves.
The one Well, the one after that is they have the mole cage, which literally just sounds like it's like a fucking like muzzle.
Muzzle.
Yeah, so I don't know why you want to get one of those.
Projecting in front of the jaw. Oh, it's like weapons though.
Yeah, but literally all these do is allow you to change the type of damage that your attack does. Well, some of them do extra.
Yeah, I'm not that impressed with these. I think that we're just so used to weapons that we, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
General goods, tools. Not too worried about that stuff. Armor.
Yeah. I also do find it interesting that the armor costs more depending on what your age category is.
Right? How do you feel about armor? I don't like the idea of dragons riding around with, like, is it actual armor? Like plates?
Yeah, it's like actual armor plating.
You like buy it?
Yeah. It gives you like costs gold, gives you a bonus to your AC, and gives you a disadvantage to stealth. They're basically shield. Like they work the same way as shield.
I think it'd be cool. The only way I could see that doing is it's like I don't see any. I'm looking for like a thematic write up about it. Do they have one?
Armor.
Yeah.
Dragon's physiology does not encourage the use of armor. The natural defenses renders most attempts moot, and the sheer expense of such a project would be a demonstration of supreme vanity and excess. However, small additions to the dragon's protection can be achieved through the use of articulated piped plates used for deflection. In extreme situations, Dragon may commission vassals to forge suits of armor. These suits follow the same rules as normal armor, but cost twice the weight, but cost twice and weigh as much for wormlings, 4 times as much as young dragons, 8 times as much for adult dragons, and 16 times for ancient dragons.
You know what I really like? You know what I just pictured in my head? How cool would it be if they had some ability, since they're like so in tune with their horde, that they could actually they could like roll in their horde, and that becomes their armor, and then like
that'd be pretty.
And like as the hit points come off, so do those pieces of the horde, and so like lose them or something like that.
I would say there's also the thing where for armor, inherently all dragons are not proficient in armor. So they have disadvantage on ability checks, saving throws, and attack rolls that involve strength or dexterity, and they cannot cast.
I like the idea of it being not someone forging them armor, but them actually like having that ability. Or maybe that's a magic they get, and maybe they can just have the normal way where their minions craft them armor.
I do like the idea of like rolling in your horde can be used to give you bonuses, similar to like the plates that they describe. The plate.
All right. Let's do you want to jump to? So when we run this game, Mark, I think we'll make our own PDF off of this, and we'll totally throw this guy his stuff. We'll only share it out to our group, but it'll be like, I don't want them reading through this book and like grabbing their own stuff. I want them to use whatever subset of things we're okay with and not have access to the big list. Do we want to go to sigils next? I think we're nearing the end. I think it's sigils, magic items, and then draconic downtimes, which I'm very interested in. Draconic downtimes.
Yeah. We can definitely go through sigils. Sigils.
Where are you at time-wise? How much time you got?
I got time. Got about 20 minutes.
Okay. Where were we? Okay, sigils. I don't guess. Do we want to read these, or we just want to skim them and give an update?
I think we just skim them because these ones are just pretty much like extra enchantments. like, for example, the fire sigil. Once per turn, when you inflict fire damage with this weapon, you can charge You can change the damage type to fire damage. The weapon is perpetually warm to the touch.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I don't have a lot to say there. I feel like we'll sort through sigils and have to decide if we're okay with if any stand out as problematic is what we'll probably do, right? Is look at them and see if any rare sigils, same thing. We can sort through them. I don't mind. I don't mind rare sigils. Very very rare sigils. Super rare sigils. Ultimate sigils. Super. Magic items. Okay. Again, don't really mind these. The only thing I think is that not every magic item grows with the wearer. And so I think when they find magic items, it might just be something that they can only wear when they're in their vassal form.
It's true. I also feel like a lot of the time when it comes to collecting magical items, it might just be a good idea for them to add it to their hoard.
Yeah. Yeah, I think well, you know what would be cool is they could have it as part of their hoard, but when they do take vassal form, they could go out, they could wear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Amulet of Breath. Yeah, I don't. Orb of Io. Maybe that's probably something to read because Io's like. Do we want to have Io?
Yeah.
Do we want to use the island and all that stuff right out of this book?
I think it's better if we make our own.
I
just think it's more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And we're gonna do that using Microscope after.
Yep. Exactly.
All right. Draconic downtimes. Okay, this is the one I wanted to get to. Do you want to read the first part? I'm just gonna step away for like 20 seconds. So.
Draconic downtimes. So what does a dragon do with their indeterminable centuries? For years at a time, dragons engage in activities that vassals, or humans, would never even consider due to the amount of time and effort that is involved. Dragons have all the time in the world, often going years between adventures or spending decades at a time constructing their lairs, fortifying defenses, creating sigils, or scouring the plains for otherworldly counterparts or on other spheres. As the Draconic calendar of the Council of Wyrms differ from most settings, do note that there are 15 days in a single work week for downtime involving dragons. That's a little weird.
Right? Doesn't quite work, does it? For what we'd want to do?
Nope.
What do you think's weirdest about it? Like, what's your biggest issue with it?
15 days in a week? I feel like that defeats the purpose of quantifying a week, right?
Right.
Week is like a short amount of time. Day, a short amount of days to help quantify, split up, the greater category of months. I mean, in this case, how many weeks are in a month? And then overall, how many days are in a month? How many months in a year? It's kind of ridiculous. It's too many. It's too many days. Too many days in a week.
There are too many days in a week.
There's already too many days in a week as it is. We don't need more.
Mm-hmm. It offends me at my core. Yeah. Okay. So, what do we think of the downtime concept, like at a high level?
I think it's a good idea. It gives players to do things between adventures, to get things that you can't normally get on an adventure. For example, they have here like bartering for magic items. They're changing your nature, constructing lairs, things that take a lot amount of time that you're not going to achieve in like a single dungeon dive or adventure quest for something or something around it.
Yeah. Kind of like a winter phase, right? Something like that.
Exactly. Essentially, winter phase.
I like the idea. I'm gonna see if they have it because they usually don't in these games. It drives me nuts. It's like as someone who doesn't play a lot of D&D, it pisses me off when you can't pick up skills.
Yeah. Cut just trade skills.
Yeah. I would propose the following for that. We use it a bit in Lord of the Rings, the role playing game, as a custom. One of the actions you can do is train a skill, and if you train the skill, if you have nothing in it, you get half, which means basically half proficiency with that. Mm-hmm. And if you have it in full, you get, or if you do it twice, you get full proficiency. So there's a way of building like a half proficiency concept into it. And it's like, I might not know it well, but I'm also a fucking dragon. So it was been around 700 years. So
yeah, exactly. Or could also like do that to learn other languages. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We can dip into like some other concept, add to the draconic downtime. I also think it's important that we try as much as we can, like because we're both GMing, to stay on the same page.
Absolutely.
When our groups are at the same downtime, so they can interact as a. So they'll effectively be like two coteries running around. If we were to vampire this. Or two, let's do D&D because it's most of our audience is D&D. If two parties running around the same Sword Coast or whatever, or let's just say the same Forgotten Realms, they don't have to interact with each other, but the fact that they're these dragons means they're most likely to. And then at periods of time, they're going to actually have almost like moots. Because there's like the council, but I think we want them to be able to meet more often than that, and not just when they get to be adults and ancient. I also thought that maybe it'd be fun to make not just ancient dragons on the council, but adult dragons on the council.
I think that works as well. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right, so any other thoughts here?
In this section, not specifically. A lot of these are pretty basic things. You know, expanding layers, getting vassals. There's sphere scrying, which is about examining the other worlds, other planes of existence and stuff.
Cool. I like
Scour multiversal threads.
Changing natures is cool. Layers are cool. I think we might have to unpack as much of this as we can, Mark, because I think this will be where a lot of the game like feels like more than a dungeon game. Is like
definitely,
you know, and it might be getting rid of some of it. It's like sometimes D&D can get really granular about things that we don't care about because it's ultimately a dungeon building game. So it's like, do I care what your blockade costs you? I don't. Like maybe I guess if they're expending gold, it's not going to their lair. It's not their bounded treasure.
Absolutely. But I think we can also build upon some of the stuff that was so in some of the other D&D books. They had one about different downtime activities you can do.
Yeah.
Investigating, looking for information.
We'll have to get very specific about this, but we also don't have to get specific about it until the first downtime.
Example.
So, bits and pieces.
Absolutely.
Additional rules. Aerial combat. I like that. I like there being considerations for aerial combat. It sort of gives that idea that dragons and the things they fight by air are now important. You know.
Definitely, yeah.
Half dragons. What do you think about half dragons? Dragons capable of adopting vassal forms sometimes dally with their subjects. Dally, huh? Sometimes it is our sheer boredom or curiosity, but in rare cases there is a genuine mutual adoration. Whether a given dragon breed considers such activity repugnant varies from clan to clan.
I mean, I'm fine with them existing in the world.
Yeah, they're just not playable.
Yeah. Who knows, they might be antagonists.
Yeah. Well, they can't inherently be just antagonists. They have to be related to... Yeah. They're just children. Depends on who their parents are and all that stuff, right? So, right. So, kindred bond. The dragon chooses may take this individual into their confidence and form a deep magical connection. That's cool. I kind of like that.
Yeah. I like that too.
Council of the Wyrm. Hobgoblin kindred bond. That's their example. Gnome kindred bond.
They also have gnome kindred bond.
Optional kindred bond characters and sidekicks. Kindred bond may be fully fledged characters in their own right, either built as sidekicks or alternative characters. I do see there being a little bit of a Ars Magica vibe, like a troop play option to this.
Definitely, yeah.
Where we're definitely gonna, we're gonna send out their sidekicks or them in vassal form or whatever to go deal with some what feels like mundane stuff, or at least stuff that the dragons is beneath the dragon maybe to deal with.
Yeah. So beneath them, or they're unable to do for whatever reason.
Okay, so it says the most common way to provide a campaign template is for the party to have them hatched at the council area and raised as servants of the Council of Wyrms directly. That's not bad. This removes them from the immediacy of clan politics and keeps them together. We're still figuring all that out, so we might have differences. But that is an important part. I like the idea. I think we said in our world that that there might be bonds of clans and stuff that aren't bound to the white dragons all roam together and the gold dragons all roam together.
Yeah.
I think this game takes a more like traditional, I think, view, if I'm understanding it, where it's like, is there a reference to clans? I kind of want to fact check myself on this. Do you know where clans are?
Some reference it, but they reference it in like the different types of dragons during the player creation. It says,
yeah,
the clans of this dragon craze. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So I think one of the deviations we have probably is clans will not be exclusive to dragon color or dragon type, really, because like type, though. I think we're thinking more like werewolf, right? Where it's like, like
philosophies or beliefs.
Yeah, but the pack sees some kind of value in branching out. It could be a fun part when we design our world, that at some point there's a schism.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of, because I think our overall story is about how dragons move towards extinction. And part of that might be that, I mean, what's going to kill the dragons more than themselves? So this big
Exactly.
civil
Yeah.
war, maybe between the chromatic dragons and the metallic dragons eventually, because that's also very niche in this genre. With
Yeah.
the third dragon, what are they called again? The
Gem
crystal,
dragon.
yeah. With the gem dragons, maybe either staying out of it or they're rarer anyways. I think we said the gem dragons are
Yeah.
more rare, so like maybe they mostly stay out of it. Maybe they choose sides, depends on what they are. But there's a
Yeah.
schism. I think that schism is the first fall, and the second fall is when society
Yeah.
gets big enough to start killing off the rest of them.
Exactly. Stop hunting them down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And I guess this plays till level 20. I think that's what we say. Game goes till like, so we'd want to do, we could, well, it's actually even built into the mechanics. You're this level, so our first youngling adventure. What I was gonna ask you though, I said youngling, wormling. Sorry, wrong meta. Are we okay with wormling being 30? Because we can't tell it. If we do wormling as crossing over to young at 30, it does mean that they'll never be like there'll be one age for those two. So it'll actually be 3 ages we play through. 3 eras. Or we do 2 eras as adults. Maybe wormling young, adult, ancient. So do 2
I think
and
that
adult.
works well. Like the first half of adult and then the second half of adult.
Yeah. And then the last is them basking as ancient. What do we want to do with character death? Do we let them recreate at the same age?
I think at the same age of where the thing is at the moment.
Yeah, because it's so important.
Yeah. I think the only exception might be ancient, where you have them remake as an adult instead.
Yeah,
we'd have to see how we feel about that.
Like a max adult or something, like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's also level based, so we need to be careful with that. You know.
Yeah.
What could be fun is we could simply say you're 1 level down, or you're one. Yeah, like you're 1 level down.
Yeah.
Right. So like they know that they'll cross over into the next one.
Definitely.
I'm starting to think that age might matter even less than their horde. Like there's almost like a magic side to it. So it'd be fun for someone, because I do like the ability of here's my only thought with levels, right? Levels were originally built as a way to, they weren't just about scaling. They're a way to suggest that you don't, there's something that feels really meaningless about pulling, like someone dying and just getting to start exactly where they left off with a new concept.
Yeah.
I also understand the other side where it's like you don't want people to just feel so punished by the death that they walk away from the game or they lose interest.
Yeah.
So, but maybe it's somewhere like a level down or something. You know, back in like where survival was the most important thing, it was no punishment, whatever. And then in modern day, it seems to be like never, ever, ever. Like, sorry, back in the day, it was you start at level 1. Now it's kind of no punishment at all. I think I'd like something like not punishment, but like some minor setback, some minor detriment, especially when you get to like aged dragons where they're supposed to be rare. It's like, no, you're slightly lower level and you just have to figure out how to be relevant at that lower level. But if you find your bonded horde, maybe you grow. I like the idea of thinking about that stuff carefully, like your horde serving as XP. But the only issue I have, Mark, now that I think about it, is there's no way to give someone XP. You can give someone gold. You can give someone treasure. So how do we stop someone from receiving a reward from another player that just like, we'll just keep feeding Bill over here like 3 times our
Yeah, to make
gold.
him the strongest in the group.
Yeah. Or to like help him catch up or whatever the thing is, you know? It shouldn't actually break anything now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it should be fine. I don't think it's too big.
No. I'm pretty excited about this whole concept though. So
Definitely.
all right. Is there anything else you wanted to go over?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Cool. All right, we're gonna wrap up here, folks. We don't have a big audience, so thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.